Hey, Steno peeps. Welcome back to another dictation where today we're going to do some jury charge. Now, this is a completely fictional jury charge tailored around assault and battery. It's a 5-minute dictation. Set your speed controller as desired, and let's dive in. Ready? Begin. Members of the jury, you have now heard all of the evidence and arguments presented in this case. The state of California accuses the defendant, Miss Amelia Rose, of 2 counts of assault and battery. An assault is an unlawful attempt coupled with a present ability to commit a violent injury on another person. To find the defendant guilty of assault, the state must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Miss Rose did an act that by its nature would directly and probably result in the application of force to another person, did the act willfully, was aware of the facts that would lead to a reasonable person to realize that her act by its nature would directly and probably result in force being applied to someone, and had the present ability to apply force to the person at that time. A battery is an unlawful touching of another person without that person's consent. To find the defendant guilty of battery, the state must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Miss Rose touched the alleged victim, did so willfully and not accidentally, did so in a harmful or offensive manner, and the alleged victim did not consent to the touching. As jurors, it is your duty to consider all of the evidence presented, both for the prosecution and the defense. You should carefully consider the credibility of each witness and weigh the evidence presented. The state has the burden of proving the defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. This is a very high standard. It means that you must be firmly convinced of Miss Rose's guilt based on the evidence presented in court. If you have a reasonable doubt about any element of the crime, you must find Miss Rose not guilty. The defendant may claim self-defense as a justification for their actions. Self-defense is a legal justification for using force against another person when you reasonably believe that you are in imminent danger of great bodily harm. In order to claim self-defense, the defendant must prove by a preponderance of the evidence that they were faced with an unlawful threat of imminent harm, they used no more force than was reasonably necessary to defend themselves, and they did not bring about the confrontation. You must consider each count of the indictment separately. If, after considering all the evidence, you are convinced beyond a reasonable doubt that Miss Rose is guilty of a crime, you should find her guilty. If you are not convinced beyond a reasonable doubt, you should find her not guilty. When you have reached a verdict, the foreperson should notify the court and a verdict will be announced. I urge you to carefully consider all of the evidence presented in this case and reach a just verdict. All right, that's a wrap for jury charge. Hopefully this gave you some good practice on all of your jury charge briefs. And if you've noticed you might need to create some new ones, be sure to do that as well. Don't forget to go back and practice your read back. Just as a reminder, you can go back and read what you just wrote. Be sure to like this dictation so you can practice it again. And be sure to subscribe so you get notified of the next dictation. And I'll see you on the next one.